All right, let's look at this HMI one lab. I have it posted on Canvas as Exploring HMIs. So what we got here, got a Allen Bradley PanelView Plus 600. I have it powered up 24 volts, and I have a Ethernet cable to it. I have my PLC, right? We have our Compact Logix L43 PLC. I have that powered on, and I'm using that to power my HMI. Nothing else right now is wired to this, just the HMI. I also have a Ethernet switch over here. We start running out of Ethernet ports when you are using HMIs. So we go PLC to Ethernet switch, HMI to Ethernet switch, and then I connected the computer to the Ethernet switch. So now everything is connected at the same time without moving cables around. So that's our setup. Fairly simple setup for this first lab. PLC only, no inputs or outputs, HMI, and Ethernet switch. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at job sheet 1. This is Exploring HMI. So I have the job sheet pulled up here. I also have the camera on the programming computer that we can follow along when I switch up to there. So looking at this procedure, starts talking about HMIs. It gives you your wiring setup. That is what I just told you about. Remember, just like this says, and I told you, we need no inputs or no outputs for this. All we need is some Ethernet cables. PLC to Ethernet switch, HMI to Ethernet switch, computer to Ethernet switch. We do need to power both this Ethernet switch and the HMI. So complete that wiring setup. Also looks something like this. And follow this down through. So what this is going to work you through is configuring the HMI. So let's go ahead and switch up to our computer. So first thing I'm going to do, this is going to use multiple softwares. So the first thing it wants me to do is open up RS Logix 5000. So I'll go ahead and open that up. Once this is opened up, it is asking us to open up the file HMI menu 1. So if it's not here on this recent projects list, we can go to Open Files, ELME Labs, and we are under the HMI. And then the top one here, HMI menu 1. So I'm going to go ahead and open up that. So now that project is open, it is asking us to then download the program and turn the PLC into run mode. We can refer back to Intro to Manufacturing, job sheet 2, if we don't understand that. It also says, note here, make sure RS Links is running on your computer. So why don't I go ahead and do that before I do anything else? So I'm going to open up RS Links. I'm going to add an Ethernet driver if it's not already. And if I click my drop down here, I can see my PLC is right there with IP address 0.2, and my HMI is there, IP address 0.6. If this HMI is not popping up, maybe because it has a different IP address in it, we'll switch over to the HMI here in a little bit, and I'll show you that. So I'm just going to minimize this because we just want it running in the background and I don't have to do anything. So we are good up to here. Configure the touchscreen. First, touch the touchscreen graphic. Must be Ethernet. Tells us about going to terminal settings. So let's slide down to here. So this lab shows us some screenshots. Let's work over on the HMI and I will click you through some of the menus. All right, we are currently on the settings page of our HMI. If you turn on your HMI and it does not come up to the factory talk ME station and then this version, some programs have a button down here that says exit, or you have to power cycle it and spam tap the screen on startup to get yourself to here. Some applications start automatically, but right now we want to be here. Have a couple of things. We have load application, we have run application, we have application settings. These all have to do with the actual HMI program. You can see here current application, FMS interface 1 underscore L43. So if I would hit run application right now, that is the program it would run. If I wanted to change that program, I could come here, and there's a couple programs already loaded onto this HMI that I could switch to. So let me cancel out of that. Where we're concerned about right now is our terminal settings. You can see some very crucial information from this screen. First, the version. So we can see we're on version 11.0.25.230. What we need to mainly know is version 11. We can also see the IP and subnet mask. So we can see what our current IP address is. This is all very useful information. So let's click on terminal settings. Now we get a list of things. We get alarms, we get diagnostic setup, display, a bunch of other things. Probably some of the more important ones. If I scroll down to the bottom, one that always gets messed up is the time. If you're doing anything HMI related and you want it to be time affected, scroll down to the bottom here, time and date. Let's see what it says. So it's currently reset on January 1st, 2020, or 2000, just straight 2000. We could update that if we want. I believe all of these HMIs have bad batteries in them, so it resets probably every power cycle you get. You'll see that battery message every once in a while. So that's where you can change that. You can see some system information. This will tell you things as far as what operating system, what version, different versions of different softwares it uses. You can close out of that. You can do startup options. What happens on a startup? And probably one of the more important ones is network and communication. Here, network and communication, you can go to your network connections. You can go to device name. You can see here, so this pops up on the network as that name right there. I can come down to network identification if there's a username and password, and I think network adapters and IP address. So here is where we could change our IP, subnet mask, and gateway. So if I wanted to change this to anything, I could just hit that, type a new IP address in there, and hit enter. And I'll close out of that. So yeah, once our IP address is set, that's about everything we need to know here. There's obviously a couple different options. Display, it's just going to be around screensaver cursors and display intensity. So you can go through there and change the brightness, things like that. I'm going to close out of here, and that's navigating through that screen. Now the next step is we need to switch back over to the computer and see how to load something onto this. So let's switch over to our computer here. I am going to close out of Studio, and I'm going to open Factory Talk View. So it's either saved here on the taskbar, or you can search it. It's going to pop up here and say, what program do I want to open? I'm going to cancel that right now. So this is Factory Talk View. Factory Talk View is Alan Bradley's HMI editor. So what I need to do is I need to go up to File, and I need to open an application. And that application I want to open, referring to the lab manual here, is FMS Interface 1. So I'm going to find that here on my list. Right here. I am going to make sure this right here says PV Plus Compact 400/600. If this does not say compact, this will not work. I also want to make sure this says version 11. If this doesn't say version 11, this will not work. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to hit open. I will give it some time to load here. We can look at the lab manual while it's loading and see that it said to load up interface_1. And now once it's loaded, it wants us to double click the project settings and verify that we have the right resolution. So up here in project settings, I'm going to verify that that says PV Plus Compact 400/600. And the resolution is 320 by 240. So everything's good there, and I'm going to hit OK. So scrolling down the lab manual here. So the next thing it wants us to do is create a runtime file. Before we create a runtime file, let's just take a look around this software, right? So I have my system, and I have some menus up here at the top: project settings, runtime security, startup procedures. I have HMI tags, and I have HMI tags, and I have my displays. Displays are your screens. So if I click on display, I can see here there's an alarm, diagnostics, automatic, operator, mainframe, and trend. If I click on operator mainframe, it now shows me my screen in that resolution, and all of the tags, all of the sliders, all of the buttons, all of the graphics. As of right now, we're not editing this. I just want you to know how to get it on the HMI. So this is a pre-built program. We have some images, some libraries, some alarm settings, but down here at the bottom, the one I want you to pay attention to the most is Factory Talk's link. Factory Talk link has communication setup. If I click on communication setup, it brings up a menu that looks something like this. This is where you tell your HMI what roadmap to take to get to your PLC. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this, and let's make one together, because this is very, very, very crucial. And if you do not have this linked correctly, your HMI will not work. So I'm going to remove. So it should look something like this. I'm going to come up here and hit add, and it's going to say add a new shortcut. I don't care what the name is, so I'm just going to hit enter. So my new communication path is called new shortcut. Up here, I have design local, and I have runtime target. So design local, that is in my program. Runtime is on the HMI. So I need to start in design local, and I need to tell it the path. So go through the desktop, into the Ethernet switch, to PLC, which there's the IP address, into the backplane, and then I need to click on the controller, which is 1768L43, and it shows the program I have in it, HMI Manu 1. So once I click on that, my apply button has lit up. So I'm going to hit apply, and it says, do you want to change the path? Yes, I do. After I hit apply, I need to hit copy from design to runtime. So copy from your editing mode to your runtime file. And I'm going to hit yes. So after here, you should be able to click on runtime, and it should identically match your design. So if you toggle back and forth from design to runtime, there should be no difference. All the IP addresses should be the same. All the programs should be the same. So then you know you are good. So lastly, down here in the bottom corner, I'm going to hit verify, and I'm going to hit OK. And I have just linked that path from my HMI to my PLC. So we need no other changes here. So I'm going to come up to the top and create a runtime file. HMIs have two different kinds of files. They have editing files and they have runtime files. The editing file is where obviously we make changes, design, code. The runtime file is just the file that plays on the HMI. So I need to come to application and hit create runtime. So this is where I would name it. So I'm going to leave it interface 1 underscore L43, meaning it's for this PLC. I'm going to make sure that it is version 11. Obviously, there's a bunch of others. We are on version 11. That was verified via the HMI when we were looking through the terminal settings. I'm going to hit save. It is going to pop up and say, hey, there's already a file that is called that. That's fine. We are just going to replace that. And we'll see up here in the top corner here in a second, it will say creating runtime file. So after we've created a runtime file, we have that MER runtime file saved. Now we need to download that to our HMI. So if I come up to application, that's where we created our runtime file. If I come one over to tool, I can see transfer utility. So what transfer utility is it is the way to upload, download, or compare HMI programs from your computer to the HMI itself. So I'm currently on download. You can upload or you can compare. On download, I need to make sure that my file path is correct. So whatever file I want to upload, it's not always default to what your project is. So I'm going to update it to here. So now my file path is correct. It is going to show up on my HMI as FMS interface 1 L43. It is going to save to its internal storage. Then down here, I have to tell it the file path, or not the file path, but the network path. So I go to factory talk on my computer, I go to Ethernet, and then I go to the IP address of the PanelView, and I hit download. So I hit download, it says, hey, there's already an HMI, or that HMI already has a program saved with this name. That's fine, override it. And then it starts to download. So that is the process of getting it from your computer to the HMI. So hopefully if your download has gone correctly, this pops up. We can see values everywhere. There's no alarms up here at the top. If you have a bunch of question marks and you have a bunch of alarms up at the top for communications, you messed up something in that communications setup. Whether you click things out of sequence, whether you click the wrong thing, you'll all come to me and say, I did it exactly how I was supposed to, but welcome to Alan Bradley, right? Sometimes I do it and I am pretty sure I've done it 100% correct and it doesn't work. I power cycle everything, then it works. I do the same thing over again, then it works. This morning, this one popped right up. I hooked up to it. I downloaded to it. Everything went good. And first try. The station right behind me, I've been working on for a day and a half, trying to get it to communicate. So welcome to Alan Bradley. But everything good. You can see you have values here. I have inputs on the screen, which change values. That would be where the errors pop up. That's just saying everything is good. We can see things moving around. So go ahead and just play with this screen, work around the screen, see different screens, different levels, automatic versus manual. So play with the touchscreen a little bit, and that is the rest of the lab. Call me over to have me check to make sure everything is working properly.